compressor on the DJM-V10 can be used when you are playing unmastered tracks such as drum machines, synths, or playing vinyl. It works by compressing the louder parts of the audio source while boosting the quieter parts and gives it a higher perceived volume. Compressing audio signals can make drum machines, synths, or vinyl as loud as digital tracks playing on CDJ or in DVS software. The compressor is controlled with the comp knob. When compressing, the trim is used as your input gain and compression threshold. The comp knob will change the perceived volume. The compression ratio range is 1:1 to 1:infinity, meaning that it can lightly compress or it can aggressively compress. First, we will demo what the compressor is doing using a kick drum and showing you how the waveform changes. As you can see, the kick drum has a sharp transient, and then the waveform quickly falls back to 0. As the comp knob is turned, watch how the waveform becomes fatter. The tail of the kick is boosted in volume, and the kick is more prominent and has more presence. The further it's turned, the more aggressive the compression becomes. Let's now apply the comp to a channel with an AS1 synth line. The AS1 level is not mastered, so the perceived volume feels quiet and a bit thin or light in comparison to the mastered track playing on the CDJ. To use the comp effectively, we will first need to set the levels correctly on the channel that we want to compress. First, match the input trim to the already playing track using trim. Then use comp to adjust the compression to match. Now we have the compressor set correctly. The AS1 is correctly matched in perceived volume. Now let's try again, but using a record. The compressor is great for records as the levels can be different from digital files, and simply turning the trim up would increase the peak level, making it difficult to mix. As records work differently from digital files, the music has to be mastered in a different way, which results in a different overall volume. Sometimes older tracks can also sound like they are quieter when compared to tracks produced more recently. Please note that on the DJM-V10, only channels 1, 3, 4, and 6 have phono inputs. With a track playing on a CDJ, bring in a second track that is playing on a record. You can hear the difference in volume between the two, even though the trim is set to the same. If we turn the trim level up on the phono input, the track gets louder, but it still doesn't sit right. Let's first set the input trim to match the track on the CDJ. Now turn comp until the audio sounds better matched. In addition to this working with vinyl, it will also work on a digital recording of a record. If you use the compressor on an already compressed or mastered track, the loudness will not increase and it can make the track sound worse. So be careful not to overcompress.